Joseph Stalin, the industrialization of the USSR.
Joseph Stalin is a well-known dictator of the USSR during the early 1940s. He led his people by fear. Most people may think that everything he did was completely evil. He did murder millions of his own people, but he was also responsible for the industrialization of the USSR, turning it from a peasant society into an industrial superpower.
Joseph Stalin was born Joseph Vitor Ivanovich Dukasvili on December 18th or December 6, 1878, in Gori, Georgia, which was then part of the Russian Empire. It is unknown which day due to the old-style Julian calendar. Later in his life, he reinvented his birthday to December 21st, 1878. When he was in his 30s, he changed his name to Stalin, meaning man of steel in Russian.
Joseph Stalin grew up in a poor family as an only child. His mother was a laundress and his father was a shoemaker. His father was an alcoholic and often beat his son. Stalin also contracted smallpox as a child, which left him with deep scars on his face for life.
As a teenager, Stalin received a scholarship to attend a seminary at the nearby town of Tbilisi and the study of priesthood in the Georgian Orthodox Church. While at this seminary, he secretly began to read the work of a German social philosopher and Communist Manifesto author Karl Marx. This interested him in a revolutionary movement against Russian monarchy. He was expelled from his seminar in 1899 when he missed his exams.
He became an underground political agitator and began taking part in labor demonstrations and strikes. Later on, he joined the Bolshevik Party and a more militant wing of the Marxist Social Democratic movement, led by Vladimir Lenin. Stalin became involved in crime and was arrested multiple times between 1902 and 1903.
In 1906, Stalin married a seamstress named Ekaterina Svanide. They had one son named Yakov. Kato died of typhus while Yakov was an infant, and Yakov died in a German labor camp during World War II. Then in 1918, he married Nadezhda Aluvia, the daughter of a Russian revolutionary. Together they had 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. Nadia committed suicide when she was in her early 30s.
In 1912, Stalin was appointed to serve the first Central Committee of the Bolshevik Party by Lenin, who was in exile in Switzerland. In 1917, the Bolshevik Party took control of Russia. During this time, Stalin was maneuvering his way up the ladder of political status. In 1922, he became Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party. This new position enabled him to appoint his allies to government jobs and to grow a base of political support. Vladimir Lenin died in 1924. Joseph Stalin found a way to take over the position. By the late 1920s, Stalin was a dictator of the USSR.
Joseph Stalin's main goal was to convert the USSR from a peasant society into an industrial superpower. He came up with a series of 5-year plans in order to make this transition. His plans involved total government control and forced collectivization of Soviet crops. Farm workers that refused were shot or killed. This led to widespread famine that killed millions.
Stalin needed 250,000 tractors for the industrial farming that he wanted to do. This meant that he was going to have to develop the oil fields so that he could produce the petrol to run the tractors. He was also going to need more materials for this. He demanded a 110% increase in coal production, 200% increase in iron production, and 335% increase in electric power. Some people that claimed that he pushed it too far, or industrialized them too fast. Those who said this were quickly taken out.
This is an example of how Stalin ruled his nation by fear, how he got whatever he wanted with fear. Anyone who opposed him was taken out by his secret police. He actively endorsed his people to spy on one another. He killed millions of his own people in a system of forced labor camps called gulags.
Then in the 1930s, he instituted the Great Purge. This was a communist campaign to rid the USSR of those that Stalin thought were threats. Leningrad was renamed Stalingrad, and literature and songs were changed to make him seem better. He had attempted to create a perfect dictatorship, one where no one could rebel or want to.
His success in bringing one of the first industrializations in the world to the USSR also brought him terrible things such as famine, death, and total fear. Stalin's extreme beliefs went as far as, in the Soviet army it takes more courage to retrieve them from advance. This Stalin quote was used during World War II to ensure that his troops brought him victory at all costs.
Industrialization left a legacy not only in the USSR, but in the world. This was one of the first industrializations in the world, and was an example of sorts to many others. This also left his people with financial security for decades. Stalin was also remembered as one of history's most ruthless tyrants. Most information on what he did was unknown to the public for decades. During this time, he was loved and admired by his people. Once they found out, they became outraged. Statues of him were destroyed, and Stalingrad was renamed Volgograd.
Today, Stalin is still thought of as a tyrant. However, his industrialistic ways are still benefiting Russian society and the economy of the world. But do the ends justify the means?